What is the 70% rule in house flipping? After this video, you're going to walk away knowing exactly what the 70% rule is and how you can use it to protect yourself when investing. You may have heard of the 70% rule, but you say to yourself, how exactly do I use it? In this video, I'm going to show you how this classic rule can help you be profitable on your flips, and also when you can bend that rule a little bit. Most new investors either ignore it or really misapply it. I'm going to break it all down in this video right now. The 70% rule. Let's dive into this. The 70% rule means that you know what the ARV is, or the after repair value, meaning what is that house worth when you're all done fixing up? After the repairs, what's it worth? And then, what are the repairs going to cost me? If you know those two equations, you can add this number 70 in there and come up with what you should offer for the property, the most you should offer for the property. Here's how it goes. Let's say that you have a house that you determine has $20,000 in repairs, for easy math. And let's say that you know that house is worth $200,000 when it's all said and done. Well, you would take $200,000, multiply it by 70%, that will give you $140,000. Then you subtract the repair cost of $20,000, so your maximum allowable offer on that house is $120,000. Now, don't mistake maximum allowable offer for offer or best offer. Don't mistake the two. That's your maximum allowable offer. What in the world does that mean? What it means is, if you think about it, that 70% says, okay, I'm going to take 30% and I'm going to allot that for a few things. One is my buying costs, my holding costs, my selling costs. Those are all fees that are going to be incorporated in that 30% we deducted, right? We multiplied the ARV by 70%, so we deducted it by 30%. And we're going to then cover those costs you have, buying, selling, holding costs, and we're going to fit in a 15 to 20% profit margin for you. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Every dollar that you buy that house below MAO, so if my offer on that house, in that example I just gave you, is $120,000, that's the most I can pay for that house and keep my profit margins in a safe range. If you were to multiply that by 60%, that's pure profit in your pocket. Every dollar that you buy below MAO is pure profit in your pocket. In this video, I'm going to talk to you for just a brief second about negotiations. I think it's appropriate here. You see, if you can get really great at negotiating, your first offer on a house that you should pay $120,000 for, I hope you're sitting down, your first offer should be about 60 grand. Woo! I know, that one scared you a little bit. I get it. If your first offer doesn't make you squirm and doesn't make you crazy, embarrassed, and uncomfortable, it's the wrong offer. You can always go up. You can't come down. I'm going to give you a little tip right here on how to do it. If I'm giving a quote to somebody, I do not put it in writing. I do not make an official offer when it's 50% of what I could pay for the property. I'm going to go to the person and say, Mr. Seller, I'm working the numbers here tonight. I wanted to thank you for having me through your home. I got to be honest. I feel like we're so far apart. I know you wanted to have $150,000 for your house, and I was trying so hard to get there, but when I have to repair everything that I have to repair and everything I have to do, my numbers are coming in much, much less, and you're such a great guy, I just don't want to offend you. And then shut up and see what happens. Almost always they say, well, what is it? You say, listen, I'm not done figuring my numbers out yet, but I'm coming in like 60 grand. And shut up. And just wait, because the first person that talks usually loses. One of a few answers is going to happen. Oh my God, you're a crook, I don't want to talk to you anymore. But if you've been polite about it, they don't say that. They'll probably say, no, it's not going to work for me. Or they'll say, that's a lot lower than I was expecting. That's something that you want to hear. Or, how soon could you close, right? You'd be surprised. Sometimes people say, well, what would that include? Well, no, that means you leave everything and I take it from there. And say, I'm not done finalizing my numbers yet. See, that gives you room, right? So I know we took a little side detour on negotiating, but you make the most money per hour in your investing career by negotiating, because every time you negotiate, if I'm on the phone with you and I negotiate the price down $20,000 less in a 10-minute phone call, I just made the equivalent of $20,000 for 10 minutes of work. Extrapolate that out. What's that, $120,000 an hour? I'm going to guess that's more than you make right now if you're watching this video, okay? So just get really good at negotiating. So let's back up with the 70% rule. That rule is a simple way to get you to an equation so you know what you can offer on the property. You see, you want to get there fast. You don't want to do a full evaluation. You don't want to do what's called a full scope of work. You don't want to go through and detail every crack and crevice in the house and try and get a detailed, really dialed in scope of work. That's not what you want to do. Everything when you go initially through this is going to be in a range. What's my range to get this repaired? What is the range that I'm going to sell the house in? Because you want to see if you're even in the ballpark. You'll know you're in the ballpark when they start asking buying questions. And I say buying, they're selling, right? But that is, well, how soon could you buy it? How soon could you close? Will you clean it out? What do I have to clean this out? We're going to have showings. Those are all buyer questions, or they're actually going to be buying your service, which is you're going to buy their house from them. So don't confuse that. But I want to tell you that that is where you can use that 70% rule. Remember, start at 70, but that's just your number. Now, you have to stick to that number. If you don't stick to that number, you will screw yourself every day of the week. If you start buying with emotion, if you are in a bidding situation like in an auction, now listen, ask me how I know this, right? I've been in auctions where it's like, I'm going to beat that guy, I'm going to beat him, I'm going to beat him, yeah, go more, go more, go more. And you get caught up in the emotion, and every time you're caught up in the emotion and you go over your MAO, the odds of you losing money exponentially increase. So you could easily lose money if you bid with emotion. This is why you have the number in place to say, here's where I want to be. I would encourage you to think about being more in the 60% range, if you can. If you are in a market that is a higher priced market, maybe you're in the Dallas, Texas market, maybe you are in Miami, Florida, maybe you are in Tampa, Florida, maybe you're in Las Vegas or in Denver, Colorado, or one of these really high, or Southern California, wherever you are, really high price market, you may have to be in that 70, you may have to be 75% range, but I'd be really cautious getting outside the 70% rule. Again, some people say, well, that's old fashioned. Well, I don't care, it still works, right? So is milk, it's good for you. I mean, whatever, it's who cares, right? The numbers work, and math doesn't lie. Math is what it is, right? There's no way that math doesn't change because of emotion. So once you have that number in front of you, no matter how emotional you get, you stare at the number and say, that's the number I'm going to buy. And again, I want to stress this. Your maximum allowable offer means it's the most you can offer for that property and still virtually guarantee yourself some profit. But again, every dollar that you bring that in below MAO, so every percentage point you bring that 70 down in your calculation, that's pure profit in your pocket. You don't have to know how much the percentage is. You have to know it's just less than 70. Start at 35%. Start there, right? And just negotiate and see where you land. If you wind up at 50% or 60%, that's money right in your pocket, and you've done a great job. Now, you might say, listen, Glenn, but you're being greedy. No, I'm not. I'm taking on all the risk. If I take on that house, or you take on that house, and you dig it up and you find a body in there, guess what? And I'm not even lying, that just happened to one of our students. No lie, a student of ours bought a house, they were renovating. You know what they found in the basement? A human skull. I'm not making it up, I wish I was. They found a human skull. He called the police department. It became a crime scene because they had been bludgeoned, and the seller they bought the house from is nowhere to be found. Don't want to know, whatever. Held up his job by 2 months. It cost him $10,000 or $15,000 in extra cost because his house became a crime scene. He took that risk on. So you have to be prepared to take on risk. Do you mostly win when you negotiate lower? Yes. Do you have to be prepared to cover yourself in the case of a human skull showing up? Right? Or whatever. You could open the wall and see it's all rotted inside. You could go in the basement and realize that the electrical panel was all put together incorrectly and it needs to be redone. You could go in the attic and find it's full of mold and no one ever saw that, and you have to deal with that. It's going to cost you $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 to fix. You're taking on the house. You're taking on the risk. You have to buy it deep enough so you are protected when that happens. If you do it and you're protected when that happens, you're a smart investor. You're not a greedy investor. Because sometimes you win and sometimes you win less. But if you do this really wrong and you ignore the 70% rule, you won't really win, you'll just lose. So remember, the profit that you're predicting in the 70% rule is only true if you stick with your numbers. How are you gonna know your numbers? Well, look, in this next video, I'm gonna share with you exactly how we calculate everything, because that 70% rule is a full equation, but you have to know how to calculate the repair cost, don't you? and how to get your ARV or after repair value. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to get both so you can put together a great equation. There's nothing more powerful than going into negotiations knowing where you have to land the plane. So watch this video. Again, this came from 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears that we built this from the ground up. We built this system, this checklist, and it's all for you, my gift to you. Check out the video. If it's not here, click on the link in the description below. And again, enjoy. Hope you learn a lot.